Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining our webinar today. I'm going to be sharing my screen because we have a presentation to share with you guys. If you can just please let me know when you guys see my screen.
Yeah, we can see it.
Yep.
Okay, great. So thank you again, everyone, for joining our webinar. We're really happy to be here today to tell you more about the HEC Paris MBA program. I guess my audio is okay. I was going to ask if the audio is okay, but hopefully everyone can hear me. If not, please feel free to type in the chat box. So today we'll be giving a full overview of the HEC Paris MBA program. I will start by sharing some general information about our program. After that, our careers team will talk a little bit about what they do and about the different professional events that we organize. And finally, we'll have a small discussion with two of our current students who will share their experience doing the HEC Paris MBA program. And then we'll have an open Q&A session at the end. All right, so my name is Patrick Glasgow. I'm the digital marketing manager for the MBA program at HEC. And here with me today are two members from our careers department. Thank you so much for being here today with us. Can you guys give us, please, an introduction about yourselves, starting off with Tony?
Absolutely. Thank you very much for joining us today. We hope we'll be able to answer all your questions, and we look forward to welcoming you to the MBA program at HEC in the not too distant future. I work in the Career Centre together with Kristin, my colleague. Currently, my job is focused more on the employer side of things, the employer relationships, employer engagement, we call it. But previously, I was working in a more student-facing role with closer connections to the careers curriculum. So I think I can answer any questions related to that as we go through the session. Kristin.
Great, happy to introduce myself. So Kristin, I work directly with Tony in the Career Center and also on the employer engagement team. And our goal is to really increase the depth and breadth of opportunities available to students, especially with a focus on recruitment. So happy to be here with you guys today.
Thank you, Tony and Kristin. So let's begin with some background info about our program and school. So we're one of the oldest business schools in France. We were founded more than 100 years ago in 1881. Every year we have more than 4,000 students enrolled on campus who are pursuing the different degree programs that we offer, which include Master's, PhD, Executive MBA, and MBA. Something that we're really proud of is that we're ranked number 3 in educating the highest number of CEOs of Fortune Global 500 companies. Fun fact here is that there's a billion-dollar company, it's a grocery delivery company called Instacart, based in North America, and they just hired a new CEO who is an HEC graduate. And so we really strive for excellence, and we're looking to prepare tomorrow's future business leaders. All right, so we know that rankings are an important factor when deciding which MBA program to go to. And so here is kind of a display of all our different rankings. You can see that we're ranked top 10 all around. Something that to keep in mind is that it's really important to research what each ranking provider measures, the different criteria that they have before making that final decision on where to do your MBA. So some key figures for you guys. Our program is 16 months, and we have 2 intakes that you can apply for, one in September and one in January. The map visual that you see here represents where our class of 2022 is coming from. As you can see, diversity is something that's really important for us at HEC, and that's why 93% of our participants are international. And not just in terms of ethnicity, but also in terms of professional backgrounds. So we have students that used to work as graphic designers, that used to work as engineers, lawyers, doctors, of course, on top of all the different business fields. And so you'll be hearing different opinions and perspectives all throughout the program, which is really nice. Our class size is 300 students. And so this is pretty, it's much less than other of our competitors, which allows us to offer a more personalized MBA experience. Our average GMAT score is 690, but keep in mind that this is just an average. Our students typically have between 2 to 10 years of work experience with an average of 6. And also they range between 25 to 35 years old with an average age of 30. So where is our campus located? It's located 17 kilometers from Paris in Juillan-Jossas. I know that every week I commute from Paris to campus. I think Kristin does too. And so it's actually very accessible to Paris. It can take as little as 45 minutes. We have, our campus has more than 300 acres of land. So it has a gym, library, sports facilities. We have a chateau, we have a lake. So a lot of cool things for you guys to enjoy. And it's very, again, as I said, it's very easy to visit Paris. We're also located in the Paris-Saclay area. So this is an area that has some of France's best high-tech businesses, startups, research centers, all of which HEC students have access to. We're also a member of Station F, which is one of the world's largest startup hubs. So if you're interested in entrepreneurship, you'll be visiting there a lot. So here, kind of, again, to show you some pictures of how our campus looks like. So the building you see up top is the S building. So this is the main MBA building. The picture that you see on the left is kind of an aerial view of our chateau and the forest and the lake that we have. And then on the right, this is one of our many different walking or running trails. So if you're into walking and running, you'll have a lot of fun with all the different trails that we have. Okay, so how does our curriculum look like? So as I mentioned, our program is 16 months. In the first half of the program, this is called the fundamental phase. This is where you'll be covering all the different essentials of business. So you'll be taking classes such as financial markets, you'll be taking operations management, strategic management, basically covering all the different areas of business and building your core business skills. After that, we have the customized phase. This is where you kind of further develop expertise in the area that you're interested in. So you'll be taking electives. You can do an MBA project, which is typically done with a company. You can do an exchange at one of our many top partner universities. And finally, you'll choose one of our 7 specializations. So there's only one thing that I want to note between the difference of the January and September intake. It's that if you were to start in January, you would choose your specialization a bit earlier. So terms 3 and terms 4 are reversed. But other than that, the curriculum is the same. Sometimes we get questions from prospects asking, what if I'm interested in 2 subjects? That's completely fine. What you could do, for example, is do a specialization in finance and then take electives in marketing, or even do a certificate program in marketing, which is kind of like a mini specialization. So you have several different options to explore several subjects if that's what you're interested in. Okay, so how will campus life look like once you arrive? Well, luckily you will have the opportunity to live in our campus housing. So that's actually very convenient because it can be very hard to find housing in France, especially in Paris, as a foreigner. So more than 75% of our students stay on campus at least for the first half of the program. And it's a nice way to bond and grow closer to your cohort. So we have a mix of cultural, professional, and leisure clubs on campus. This year we had the Africa Club. They organized a food truck music fair event. The Japanese Club organized a ramen cooking class and a sake tasting, which were really fun. And in the past, we also had the Indian Student Club, who organized the fake Indian wedding to kind of show everyone how they're like with all the dancing and delicious food. One of the campus favorite events that happen every year is the MBA Talent Show. So this is where students come together and they show off their talents. So last time, I think we had students rapping, doing comedy stand-ups, acrobatic dances. So it was a lot of fun, and we're really looking forward to the next one. So we also have more than 20 professional clubs on campus. And so here's just, some examples of what our student clubs are organizing in terms of events. So we have, you can see some examples here. We had the Industry Club, who organized a virtual trek with companies such as Nissan and Schneider Electric. Last week, the Finance Club organized a career trek week with companies like HSBC. and Revolut. We had the Impact Club, who had a recent event focused on networking and recruiting. And this month, we'll also have a workshop on the Six Sigma Green Belt certification. And this is also by the Industry Club. So as you can see, it's been very busy at HEC lately with all kinds of events happening every week. Okay, so leadership training. So I'm sure that this is a topic that everyone's kind of interested to learn more about. So at HEC, we offer opportunities for students to gain leadership skills outside the classroom. So for example, we have the leadership seminar, which is a 2-day seminar in which every student gets the opportunity to lead a team of 10 classmates and complete a challenging task, usually in a high stress situation. So for example, such as building a bridge to cross a river or getting all your teammates over a high wall. So it's very fun and challenging at the same time. My personal favorite is the MBAT, which is basically like a MBA Olympics. So it's a 3-day multi-sport competition with over 1,500 participants coming from top business schools around Europe. Sometimes we also have students coming from North America and Asia. And the cool thing here is that students get to organize and run everything. So this includes the marketing, the financing, logistics, operations, etc. of the event. And usually the budget for this event is around €500,000. And so students get to apply the skills they learn in class to manage a large-scale event, which I think is really cool. We also have the executive committee group, or as we call it, TEC, which is a small group of students that regularly meet with top executives, either virtually or on campus, who share their experiences with students and how they got to the position that they're in. They also talk about what challenges they faced. So it's basically like a mentorship group aimed to help students define their long-term personal and professional goals. So we encourage you guys to check out and read more about our different leadership training opportunities on our website. So alumni network. Once you begin your MBA at HEC Paris, you're really joining one of the largest alumni networks with over 60,000 alumni worldwide. We have alumni offices all around the world, which constantly host after-work events and also different networking events all throughout the year. We have alumni who regularly come to campus to organize professional events and to network with current students. And then actually more than 10% of the class of 2020 were able to find jobs through the HEC network and HEC referrals. So we're very proud of our strong alumni network. Okay, so having spoken a little bit about jobs and different professional events, I now invite the careers team to discuss more about what they do and about the different company interactions that they have. So if you have any career-related questions, please write them in the chat box or the comments section.
Patrick, hi. Thanks for taking us through the first part of this presentation. Very, very interesting. One thing before we start with all the serious stuff to do with companies and jobs and everything like that is really, really, when you come to HEC, to take advantage of all the great fun and cultural activities there are here. I mean, it really is a wonderful opportunity for you to network with will probably be your best network moving forward for the rest of your professional life. So do have fun, do enjoy yourself. It's not all about work and jobs and courses, etc. But having said that, I'd just like to start by saying a few words about preparation. There's a famous expression which is fail to prepare, prepare to fail. And in the next couple of slides, we'll be talking a lot about the companies that we deal with, the companies that are coming on campus, the current recruiting climate, which is actually very, very good at the moment. The placement rate, the salaries, all that kind of good stuff. It's all very positive and all very real, but people get there by doing the work. And we have set up a very straightforward but quite rigorous curriculum, which is based around 3 points, three axes as you were. First is know yourself, know the market, and match yourself on the market. And very often people decide to jump to the know the market side of things, i.e. get in contact with companies, talk to alumni, all those kinds of things without really knowing what it is they need to do in order to succeed. A good example of this is consulting. Right now we have probably I certainly in my experience, the most positive recruiting climate for consulting. Already this past month, we had our annual consulting fair with over 40 companies. That's 40 companies. This month alone, November, which is kind of towards the end of the recruiting cycle, we have 8 consulting companies coming to meet MBAs. And most of these companies are actually in-house consulting firms like Unilever Consulting or Siemens Consulting, etc. So it's a wonderful climate for students looking for jobs in consulting. But you won't get the job unless you're prepared, and there's no shortcut to this. And for consultants, at least, the most important thing is to do a lot of case cracking. So you can see that in the slide deck, in the personalized approach. It's mentioned there: CV workshops, case cracking, fast tracks, etc. So, for instance, if you're looking at consulting, well, then a very important part of what you're doing, what you need to do in order to succeed, is actually to do the fast tracks, the different fast tracks that we have focused on consulting, and also to do case cracking. If tech is something that you're interested in, or perhaps you're interested in working at Amazon, which is our biggest recruiter at the moment, you need to know the principles, and you need to know about how to interview at Amazon. And again, there's really no shortcut in order to get there. So the curriculum is there for you. You can take whatever level of interaction you wish. You can decide, I want to go very deep into maybe career coaching, career counseling. I really want to know what it is I'm doing. Some of you will be coming with already preconceived ideas about what it is you want to do, and you want to move quickly, and we respect that as well too. So basically, our curriculum is set up in such a way that you can decide the pace at which you move forward in terms of your making your career progression. But the most important thing, I'm just repeating it again, is you need to do that preparation. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so one of the main ways in which our students, as Kristin will show you in a few minutes, so many of our students make one change in terms of their career post-MBA, 2 changes, or even 3 changes. In other words, what we call the triple jump. That is, they change function, location, and geography. That is quite an amazing feat if you think about it. To come in to a program like HEC and to walk out at the end of it in a completely different sector, in a completely different job, in a completely different sector. Sorry, in a completely different region. And one of the ways in which we facilitate that for you is offering internship opportunities. So coming to HEC, you actually have 2 very clear windows when you can do internships. You can do them in the summer. If you're a September student, you've got a longer window, obviously, a wider window. You can do it basically from May until August. If you're coming in January, you've got a shorter window, but you can do up to 12 weeks, which works for most companies. And then at the end of your studies, if you want to do another internship before you graduate, and this is particularly interesting for people who want to stay in France after graduation, you can also do that as well too, up to 6 months at the end of your studies. And that, like for a 16-month program, I think is pretty good given all the studies that you'll have there as well too. Internships take place around the world. Obviously, for the last 2 years, they've been mainly virtual, but we see things coming back to normal in 2022. And you can see from the list of companies that's there, all the main companies, all the main MBA companies, many of them come directly to our campus to recruit. Most of them do recruit our students through one way or another. So please keep that in mind as an option. Don't obsess about getting internships. Remember, it's all about the job at the end. But also keep in mind there is a lot of opportunities for you to do that, even at the end of your studies. Next slide.
Okay, and now it's over to me. Thank you, Tony. So I'm happy to give a review of our different career events that we organized. And of course, with myself and Tony and employer engagement, we're very much engaged with the career events as well, and making sure that the companies that students want to see are engaging on campus and events. So first, if we take a look at our fall and spring calendars to the left, I think these are really great to see the full cycle of different career events that we're organizing on campus. So the first one that I really want to highlight is MBA Career Week that takes place in the fall, typically the first or second week of September. And this is the really flagship event for MBA full-time recruitment. So the great thing about this event is that it's really, you have the full week free to really focus on making connections with companies, engaging with companies, but also to do a bit of discovery as well. Because the way that it's set up, it's really meant to have individual presentations for the companies to really present to you the company, the vision, the mission, and also their opportunities, but also the opportunity for you to also engage with the companies. Other events that we have in the fall, you'll see that they're very sector or regionally focused. So for sector focused, if you're looking into finance, consulting, digital and tech, and life sciences, we do have career events specifically dedicated to these sectors. And then for the regional events, we also have very specific regional events focused on Germany, Asia, and Africa. Then if you go down to the spring calendar, spring 2022, a couple ones I wanted to point out, HEC Carrefours, that's taking place in January. It's one of the biggest career fairs of the year. And Carrefours in French, it actually translates in English to crossroads. So really mean the crossroads of your career. And it's open to all programs at HEC Paris. And typically we have about 100 different companies participating and really a great diversity of companies participating. So anywhere from startups to scale-ups to really large multinational companies. You'll see right after Carrefours, we also have MBA internship days. So I know Tony had definitely touched on internships as an option, especially for those that might want to be doing a sector change. And for MBA internship day, it's really the flagship event for MBA intern recruitment. So of course, some companies are potentially recruiting a little bit earlier than January. So we do a lot of onboarding for students that might be joining us in January. But otherwise, January 28th is definitely the dedicated day for internships and ones that we push a lot of companies to attend. Then if you're focused on impact or retail and luxury, we do have sector-focused events for these two sectors as well. And then we also have Spring Career Day, which is a bit new in the calendar, but really offers a nice option for just-in-time recruitment in the spring. And then you'll also see on the right that we do have a variety of different standalone presentations. And we put a couple of different companies there that we engage with. But just like Tony had mentioned before, I think right now is one of the most robust times that I've seen for employer engagement and for recruitment in general. And just to give you an idea of the different types of companies that are organizing standalones, just this month for standalone presentations, we have them scheduled with Aditya, with Bain, with CDC, for Principals Consulting, Monitor, Deloitte, Siemens, Advantage Consulting, Unilever, just to name a couple. And they're really focused on recruitment. We call them even recruitment presentations. So really great to see such high engagement with companies at this time. And something that we've also seen for career events as well, and this is probably a direct result of COVID, is having the option to do blended offers. So basically that means the option to have companies connecting virtually or coming on campus in person. So I think having both of those options has really expanded the reach that we can have and also the engagement with international companies, and something that we are expecting to continue to see. Of course, though, we are always pushing companies to come on campus to meet our students in person. And next slide. So I really like this slide because I think it gives a very good overview of the variety and diversity of the different companies that are coming on campus. So we have about 350 companies that are coming each year to recruit our HEC students. And the way that would probably break down is 1/3 looking to recruit just MBA students and 1/3 looking to recruit MBA and master's level together. And so for all these different companies, they have all engaged with us in the last year and even with the COVID context. And we did not see a decline in companies engaging with our students or engaging in recruitment activities, but actually an increase. And again, I think that's really due to the ease that connecting virtually has provided to companies, and especially international companies, to engage. All right, next slide. So we also did want to give a quick look at our MBA placement stats, as we think that they tell a nice story. And I think definitely career transformation, it's something that Patrick and Tony also mentioned. It's a big reason why MBAs choose to do an MBA. So if we look at the stats, we have 65% that changed at least 2 of 3 elements. And of course, these elements are 91% changing their sector, 69 changing their function, and 66 changing their location. And then we have 45% of MBA grads that did the triple jump And that's when they changed the sector, the function, and the location. And something also interesting with MBAs that we notice is that international mobility is something that's very important to them. So for us, 66% of our graduates found employment outside of their home country. So a nice stat to share. And then you'll also see at the middle with the world map that we have the job location placements for post MBA. And so for those of you that are very interested in staying in France or staying in Europe, over half of our students do choose to stay in Europe post-graduation. So just a couple stats that we thought would be helpful to highlight. Next slide. And then also one last powerful stat that we wanted to leave you with is that 92% of HEC Paris MBA students are employed within 3 months post-graduation, and of course with an average salary package of around 130,000 US dollars. So we have a really great also employment report online that I think gives really detailed stats. So if you're really interested to look and kind of do a deep dive into the placement stats for our MBAs, the different sectors, the different geographies, and also in terms of salary packages, I would say definitely check out the MBA employment report. And then otherwise, I think I'll hand it back over to you, Patrick.
Great, thank you, Kristin and Tony. So we thought it would be interesting to share several examples of our recent graduates. So first we have Issam from Lebanon. He previously worked in Saudi Arabia in an investment holding company. He did the specialization strategy and joined the consulting club, and then landed a job at Nissan as the global product marketing manager, and he works now in Japan. We have Emma, who previously worked in the US at WorldPay. She chose the finance specialization and was the VP of strategy and communication for the finance club. After graduating, she landed a job at BCG in the UK as a consultant. And lastly, we have Warren from India, who previously worked as a product development engineer in India. He did an MBA internship at Schneider Electric. He joined the MBA Council and the Digital Transformation Club, and eventually got a job at Amazon in Germany as the senior vendor manager. So lots of job opportunities, not just in France, but all over the world. Okay, so I'll quickly walk you guys through our admissions process. What do you need in order to apply to our program? So some of the things that you need are, number one, a bachelor's degree, at least 2 years of work experience, a GMAT or GRE, an English test if you are not a native English speaker or if you didn't study previously in English, 2 professional references, some international exposure, leadership potential in your previous professional activities, and of course, a motivation to do the MBA and making sure that the MBA actually matches your professional and personal goals. So it's a 5-week process in total. The first step, which is optional, is to connect with us online and to share your background with us. I'll show you this step later, but this is a great way for you to get personal feedback on your profile. Once you apply, there's a pre-selection jury who will select candidates for 2 interviews with HEC Paris alumni. Then there is a final jury who review all the applications, and you'll get the final admissions decision after 5 weeks. And then shortly after that, you'll also know whether you got a scholarship or not. Okay, so how much does all of this cost? Our tuition is currently 78,000 euros, but subject to change, of course. This is for the whole 16-month program and does not include housing, by the way. So we asked our students how much do living expenses cost roughly, and they said around 25,000. And again, this is for the whole duration of the program. So something to keep in mind. This might seem like a lot of money, but also keep in mind that there's many opportunities to get scholarships. So every year we offer more than 1 million euros in scholarships. Our biggest scholarship is the HEC Excellence Scholarship, which amounts up to half of your tuition. You don't have to apply for it. We have a scholarship jury who will review all the completed applications, and then you'll be notified 1 week after being accepted whether you got that scholarship or not. We also have other scholarships that you can apply for, such as the L'Oréal Scholarship, Diversity, and Forte scholarships. We encourage you to check out the full list of scholarships available on our website. You also have options to get student loans from banks that we have kind of partnerships with, such as Prodigy Finance, which offer competitive interest rates for student loans. Okay, so now I'm going to introduce our students. Hopefully they've joined the webinar, but this will be a great way kind of to meet some of our current students, to hear about their experiences on campus, and then we'll have the open Q&A session at the end. So Benny, Aditya, thank you so much for coming here today. Can we start off by maybe you giving a small introduction about yourself and telling us a little bit about your background? Starting off with Benny maybe, or Aditya, sorry.
As you prefer, Aditya, do you want to go first or I go first?
Sure, I can go first. So hello, everyone. Thanks, Patrick and the team for having us here. Just a bit about myself. I'm a current MBA student. I started a year ago in September 20. So I'm towards the end of my program. I'm going to finish in 2 months in mid-December. Before coming to HEC, I had about 4 years of experience. So 2 of these years were in Singapore, where I worked in sales and consulting. And then I wanted to transition out of that and move towards finance. So I spent the last 2 years working in India, most recently with Citi's investment banking team. And yeah, overall, I've been here for a while, gotten used to the life, gotten used to Europe. It's my first time in Europe as well. So came here with a very open mind, and I was very pleasantly surprised. And I'm very happy to be here today.
Hello, everyone. I'm Benny. I'm Italian, and I'm part of the J21 intake. So I just started roughly 11 months ago, and I have a professional background in finance, gained in Italian university, and I also made some professional experience abroad. I mean, 3.5 years in Luxembourg and 3 years in Geneva. I decided to make an MBA program in order to improve my technical and professional skills via this such amazing program like the HEC.
Thank you, Benny. Thank you, Aditya. So let's talk about, why did you guys decide to do an MBA, and why did you end up choosing HEC Paris? So maybe let's go back to Aditya on this one. Aditya, are you there?
Yeah, I think, sorry, I was muted. So originally the plan to do an MBA was me wanting to move to the finance industry. And this was the time, this process started for me now 4 years ago, but before I should say around 3 years ago. So I was exploring in my current role what was out there, and I thought that MBA would be a natural step. So I started doing my research, I gave the GMAT, and at that point in time, I was also working at a startup, so I ended up moving to India. And at that point in time, although I was looking at MBA schools, I hadn't done my preparation, and I ended up moving to finance role without an MBA itself. So then the primary reason for an MBA at that point in time was to move geographies. And yeah, that was the reason why I was primarily looking at MBAs. Why HEC, I was very clear that I wanted to work in Europe. And within Europe as well, I wanted to look at shorter programs, and I also wanted to maximize my ROI. So I was looking at the duration of the program and the cost of the program, and there were only a couple of programs which fit this criteria. So HEC Paris was at the top of this list, and that was one of the primary reasons why I ended up coming here.
Thanks, Aditya. What about you, Benny?
In my case, so the main reasons why I decided to make an MBA program is, first of all, to accelerate the career growth, developing management technical skills. Secondly, to get access to an extensive alumni network like HEC, and we're talking about over 68,000 people. And also, to get a chance to get some of the opportunities, job opportunities that could arise from such amazing program. And last but not least, because investing in education, it is always a good idea. especially when the job market is becoming more competitive due to the negative impact of the pandemic crisis. Now, going back to the choice, I mean, why I've chosen HEC Paris? So it's a long-standing business school, top-tier business school within the most important source. I'm talking about like Financial Times. It's in top 10 position since many years, and also because they have a partnership with other top-tier business school, and I'm talking about in US, in Asia, and so those are pretty much, I mean, the reasons why I decided to make it and why I decided to enroll to HEC Paris mainly.
Thanks, Benny. I have another question, which I think many prospects kind of wonder, and that's, did you speak any French before beginning the program? Is it necessary to do the HEC Paris MBA? So starting off with Aditya, how was it like for you with French?
So I did not speak any French before coming to HEC, and I also applied to HEC pretty late. So by the time I got it, I only had about 4 months before I started the program, and I was still working with a 3-month notice period. So effectively, I had no time to study French at all. And I came on campus. The one thing that was good was that the cohort is so international. So we have 95% international students in our cohort. So English is the primary language of communication within the group, also with the teachers. But speaking French definitely does help. I think it probably helps your social life outside of your cohort more than within the cohort. So if you go out in Paris itself, if you need basic things, like sometimes you want to ask for directions or those kind of things. So French is helpful, but it's not mandatory. I am still learning French, and the good thing is that the school offers free French courses. So that has helped me a lot. I'm able to at least like introduce myself or ask for a few basic things. But no, I would not say that I speak proper French right now, and definitely not at a professional level. So that's me.
Thanks, Aditya. What about you, Benny?
Well, almost same on my side. Even if I live in a place where most of the people were speaking, local language, it was French, that wasn't my case. And I still am not fluent. However, as Aditya said, speaking French is very useful, but it's not mandatory. Why? Because everyone, within the campus speak English, so you can communicate easily with all the people around. On top of it, if you want to learn it, you can, and the school is helping us, providing some free courses offered during the terms. So I enrolled in the first 2, and now in the third one, I have an additional one. So even if you don't speak it, no worry about that. The school will provide you the right support in order to learn it soon, at least during this experience here within the campus.
Thanks, Benny. What was one highlight of the program so far for you? And Benny, you can start with this one.
Yeah, so in my case, I remember that the leadership experience that we had was an amazing experience that I never done it in my life. So I remember there were like 2 full days outside, and I remember that the weather was not on our side because it was very cold, rainy day, but we were like under pressure and in a group of 10 people, and we should overcome from a very difficult situation, and that experience was amazing.
Thanks, Benny. And just for reference for everyone, so he's talking about the leadership seminar that we kind of discussed earlier, which is the 2-day seminar where you get to do all these challenges over the period of 2 days. What about you, Aditya?
Yeah, for me it was 2 things. So firstly, because it's an MBA and it's sort of in terms of education, it's really a program that makes you very well rounded, or rounds you up in a way. So I was expecting, I think compared to what I was expecting, I was very, very pleasantly surprised about how good the classes were. And not just good, I think these are the best classes that I've ever attended in my life. And not just the content of the classes, but also the way that they were taught. So, of course, we have cases, we prepare, we go for the classes, but then there are negotiations within the classes, or there's negotiations before the classes that not just teach you how that particular theory works, but they also teach you a bit more about yourself and how you would actually conduct a negotiation in real life. So there's negotiations, there's simulations, there's role playing, there's online games that you play and you try to buy and sell stuff. So I think overall the classes were really good. Some of the professors I would say are definitely top notch. They're the best professors I've had. So that was definitely a standout for me. And the second thing for me, I was part of the MBAT, so MBA tournament organizing team. And ours was the first time that was done virtually. So that overall experience trying to organize an event for more than 1,000 students, managing large budgets, negotiating with corporate partners, sponsors, and also trying to secure all these kind of deals. That was a very good experience for me as well.
Thanks, Aditya. So I think both of you said that you lived on campus. And so can you please share your experience, how it's been like, or how it was like living on campus? So Aditya, you can start this one as well.
Very good. In fact, living on campus was one of the key criteria or key reasons why I applied to HEC. When I was looking at the programs, I wanted a campus that was wouldn't be in the main city, but also wouldn't be too far. So would have a very campus-like feel and would be a very tight community. So it was exactly how I expected in terms of course, the interactions. But the campus here is huge. There's a main campus, and then there's also a side campus, which is the forest and the lake. So there's a lot of places to retreat, a lot of places to play sports, and just generally, I think it's really beautiful. Right now it's autumn and everything is yellow and red. So overall, I had a very good time in the campus, and I'm actually quite sad because I'm going to be leaving this in a few months. So yeah, overall, it's been a very nice experience.
Thanks, Aditya. What about you, Benny?
Yeah, same on my side. Like Aditya, I decided to live in campus. And it was a great choice because we are not so far away from Paris, just half an hour, and school is providing some free shuttle that whenever we want to go in Paris, we can go there, leveraging on the school support, and then coming back directly from there. And also, living in campus gave to me the chance, to be close to my colleagues. And we had, let's say, the chance to know each other. And even if we are like roughly 160, I know everyone. And living here helped us to do so. And even another added value to live in campus, it's having an intense terms and having class on a daily basis. Full day. It was crucial when you start at 8 a.m. in the morning, being able to reach the class just walking a few minutes instead commuting via public transportation and spend half an hour, 1 hour, wherever. So I strongly recommend to if you're gonna enroll to our program, to just live in campus, at least for the first 3 terms.
Yeah, thanks, Benny. So now moving to how kind of a typical week looks like for you. How does it look like in terms of how long are the classes? How many do you have per week? So maybe Aditya, you can start with this one. How's a typical week look like?
Sure. So in HEC, because you do different phases, you do a fundamental or core phase where you're really doing a lot more wider courses and you're trying to come up to par or come to a very good level in different fields. So it's a bit more intense than the second half of the program, which is more customized according to your needs. So right now I'm in my final semester, so towards the end of my customized phase. And in general, in HEC, you have Monday to Thursday of classes, and Friday is reserved for recruitment activities, for career center, for any other prep that you need, or companies that visit the campus. From Monday to Thursday, in the first half of the program, you would have anywhere from 6 to 8 hours of classes and a few hours of prep work, either prep work for the classes or assignments after the classes. In the customized phase, it's a bit different. So this week I only have 2 days of classes. Some weeks it will range from between two days to 4 or maybe even 5 days. And this just allows students to be able to prepare a bit better for interviews. And also in the final semester, some people live off campus, so it makes it easier for them. So the days are longer, but then you have fewer days of classes towards the end. But overall, the curriculum is lighter in the second half of the program.
Thanks, Aditya. Did you have anything to add to that, Benny?
Well, nothing. So Aditya said almost everything. So our program, the first 2 terms are the most intensive, where you spend from Monday to Thursday, full day in class, and then the other 2, the customized one, you have less class and you can focus more on the placement and interview and so on and so forth. Yeah.
Great. Okay, thank you. Let's talk a little bit about student clubs. So because it's great that you have many options to kind of be involved in campus. You have professional clubs, leisure clubs, cultural clubs. So can you tell us maybe a little bit about some of the clubs that you were involved with, and maybe mention maybe one event that they organized or one event that you attended? So Benny, again, starting with you.
Yeah. So on top of my mind pop-ups like a finance club. So where the finance club is arranging a meeting regularly with former alumni active on financial sector, and they are, let's say, almost on a bi-weekly basis running this kind of events where people, where the speaker are just sharing their professional background, how do they get there, and providing also some tips in order to be successful in whatever done. And as regards specific event, I remember that end of September we had the Finance Career Day, where in that case came many companies active in the financial sector, and we had some of them that were making a company presentation and allied with some coffee chat, and other ones only company presentation and other ones coffee chat. Coffee chat are one-to-one or with a few other participants, where you have the chance to meet the speaker in person in a break room, where you can raise as many questions as you want. Other than that, I don't have anything to add.
Thanks, Benny. What about you, Aditya?
Yeah, so very similar to what Benny did. I was also coming from a finance domain. I was active in the private equity and VC club, and also worked a bit with the energy club. So most of the clubs, typical events, or most of the events would be inviting speakers and connecting students to speakers. These speakers are professionals who have either graduated from HEC, other business schools, or are really senior in their particular domain. And through these coffee chats, through roundtables, discussions, students get to know a bit more about their journey, what they've done, the decisions they've taken, also build professional relationships which can help them in their career. A few things that we, during my cohort, during my tenure, that we did in a private equity VC club. So we wanted to have these interactions, but we wanted to have them available even when we are not part of the club anymore. So something new that we started was we had podcast sessions. And these podcasts were a free-form conversation over 30, 40, 50 minutes, where we were speaking to really senior people with investment, with private equity experience. Where did they start? How did their career shape? What were the good decisions or the bad decisions they took? And we felt that this would be available to students for a long period of time, and they can always come back and listen to it. They can learn a lot out of it at their own pace. And yeah, of course, connect to these people through their journeys, through some insights that they found useful. So that was one part of the work that we did. And then we also wanted to bring some of the students up to scale in terms of the technical skills for private equity. So private equity firms, they have they're known for having technical interviews where you're supposed to do a modeling scenario or an LBO. So we organized these sessions where there were a few students, a few senior people, professor, and we were teaching students on how to build a live LBO model over a period of 1 hour. So we gave them a structure, a template in Excel, and then we just ran through how would you do this in the case of an interview. So these were some of the things that we did as part of the club, which we thought would help the current student body.
Thanks, Aditya. Let's talk now about MBA internships. So I know that both of you did one, and as Tony had mentioned, they're not mandatory. But yeah, can you tell us, maybe starting with Benny, what MBA internship did you do, and how did you get it?
Yeah. So I went in Amsterdam working in a fundraising private equity. And the way how I find this internship was via the finance club. So the company came and made a presentation about what they were doing and their day-to-day business. Almost a week later, they just posted an announcement within our internal tool. And after having applied, the process went well and I had the chance to make this experience. And it was overall, it was a very great experience that I recommend to everyone.
Thanks, Benny. What about you, Aditya?
For myself, I interned with Bain & Company in Brussels. So this was through June to August. So it was strategy consulting, and I'm going to be joining them in January. As to how I got this internship, it was through, so Bain was really active on campus, and they conducted several events. But the process really started even before I started the MBA. So there's a program called Bain Experience Program, and most of the consulting firms, they have a similar program for you to get to know them a bit more. So that's where I started learning about consulting. When I came on HEC Paris, I enrolled in some of the case cracking sessions organized by professors. Also started preparing for cases, and then through the consulting club, through the career team that we have here, we were able to invite Bain quite a few times on campus. So I really got to know them very well, some of the consultants and what they did. And through that, I applied to Bain, and so the application was fairly straightforward. But then all of this work in terms of getting to know them and preparing for the cases was done before. So that was a general process starting from June to up to December 2020.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Aditya. So I think it's great to see that the more involved you are on campus, joining student clubs, attending company presentations, networking, the more chances that you have to kind of find internships and hopefully jobs afterwards.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. This is a question and we're almost done, and we're almost gonna go to the open Q&A session, but just maybe some last questions, and this one's for Benny. Did you do any exchange programs? Because we do get a lot of questions about exchange programs, and tell us maybe a little bit more about that.
Yes, I was selected as to go in exchange, so I'll go there. I'll be in US in the last term, so my fourth term, starting from January 22, and I will make an exchange at Kellogg School of Management.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. So if anyone has any questions about exchanges, please, you can ask Benny, and he can share his experience about that, or about applying for it. So maybe one wrap-up question before we move on to the open Q&A session. What are some key learnings that you think you got from your MBA that will help you in the future? So starting with Aditya.
So for me, I mentioned that one of the key things and key takeaways was during those classes, and how the exercises or how those interactions really helped me reflect. So when I came to HEC, I wanted to, of course, be a better manager or be able to lead people. And I think HEC Paris gave me those opportunities, whether it's in the form of GMAT or whether it's in the form of clubs, or just being confident enough to go and approach people and invite them and have like conversations with them, and got those people to speak to other students. So those experiences were really helpful. And then, of course, I think another big thing was I was looking to move geographies. That was the reason I came to the MBA, so that worked out. And HEC Paris also allowed me to do a triple jump. So I'll be moving not just geographies, but also the industry and the role that I'm going to be doing. So these were the key takeaways that this program provided me.
Thanks, Aditya. What about you, Benny?
So in my case, as I said before, the program is very intense. So the workload is massive. And the key is how to prioritize the task. So if you won't be able to do so, you won't be able to survive in a program like that. And this is something that, based on my also professional experience, it's something very important that you will be able to apply, I mean, in all different scenarios. This is the main things that I remember from the program. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Benny.
Thanks.
Okay, so thank you both Aditya and Benny for those wonderful insights. So before moving on to the open Q&A session, I just want to encourage everyone here, the audience here today, to connect with us online. So I kind of mentioned this a little bit before during the admission process. So this is a great way for you to introduce yourself before you apply and for us to get to know you better. So all you have to do is fill out our online form, and you also have the option to upload your CV and share your LinkedIn. After that, your dedicated recruitment manager will get in touch with you, give you personalized feedback on your profile, share tips on the best next steps to take, and you can ask any questions that you have about the MBA program to them. And you can find this on our website through the Connect With Us icon. We also encourage you guys to follow us on Instagram. So this is a great way to see what our current MBA students are doing and the different MBA events that are happening all throughout the year. Okay, so let's go ahead and move to the open Q&A session. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can see the questions that we're getting, but maybe we can start with some career questions. Okay, so we have, what are the 3 key things that HEC primarily looks into MBA applicants? So I can take this one. So we kind of discussed this before in the admissions slide. So what we really look for is, number 1, international exposure. So it's great to see whether you maybe studied abroad, maybe you did some volunteering abroad, maybe in your current job you worked with some international clients. Just something to show us that you're interested or that you're capable of being in an international environment, like the HEC Paris MBA program. Next, we also look for leadership potential. So did you show initiative in your job? Did you have a lot of different responsibilities? Did you take different initiatives, different projects? Were you able to, lead maybe a small team? So all those things are important, definitely for us. And then finally, also, we look for your motivation. Why do you want to do an MBA? Is it just like you have to convince us? Is it just because that you lost your job, or is it because you want to change sectors, you want to change industries? And so that's also really important to mention in your application. Okay, so question, this one's for careers. I'll let you guys tackle this one.
Yeah, so I can jump in and just to read the question. What are the career opportunities like for HEC grads in tech? I could take that part first. So specifically, I know you were referencing do European offices of Google, Microsoft, McKinsey, BCG recruit at HEC Paris? Short answer, yes. And just to give you an idea for tech industry, and then I know Tony can touch on management consulting. For tech, we have a really great digital and tech career fair, where we have about every year 20 to 25 companies that are coming on campus or this year virtually in order to promote their internship or full-time opportunities. And just to give you an idea of some of the companies that are attending, we have companies like Aditya, like Salonis, Revolut, Uber, and Ubisoft. We have a lot of gaming companies this year, which is a bit new and exciting. We also have Doctolib, so really in digital and tech for healthcare. Vinted, so just to give a couple examples. And then also for top recruiters, of course, Amazon was mentioned as one of the top recruiters. So their Amazon Pathway programs, the Amazon Launch programs are 2 great examples. For Google, Google is definitely recruiting, especially for MBA internships, and specifically in London, Paris, and Dublin. And I know that they typically promote their offers either via standalone presentations or global presentations. And I know they've been active in treks to Dublin in the past as well. Microsoft, they're promoting typically their full-time graduate program. It's called the Aspire program. And they usually do a virtual MBA Aspire event that takes place in December. And then also for Facebook, they are very active in promoting different internships and full-time offers. They also typically organize either a standalone presentation or global presentations. So just a quick touch point on those 3 or 4 companies that we engage with quite often in the tech industry. And Tony, maybe I can pass to you for the management consulting aspect.
Sure. Thank you, Kristin. But just before going on there, I'd just like to say that, Google, Facebook, and Microsoft are a little bit like the top investment banks. They're just the tip of the iceberg in terms of opportunities. I really would encourage you to think about other companies, not just in tech, but regular companies who have very strong tech or digital needs. We're seeing more and more of these kind of companies engaging with us. So some of the companies coming to the Digital and Tech Fair tomorrow are actually not tech companies at all, but they have wonderful tech positions. Just to move on to management consulting, I think that Aditya really covered the ground really well in terms of our relationships with what's called the MBBs. And also he stressed the importance of preparation. That's really key to succeeding at any of these companies. But I thought that maybe I'd take a slightly different angle to talk to you a little bit about the kinds of companies that we're seeing coming now, which again is a sign of the very strong recruiting market, but also a sign of the diversity that HEC is attractive for companies. So 2 companies coming this month. One is, we're here yesterday actually, is a company called Siemens Advanta, which used to be Siemens Management Consulting. And it's actually the oldest European internal consulting company or business of them all. So they've been in existence for a long time. They were here talking about internship and full-time recruiting. They were represented by an alumnus from the class of 2020. Later on this month, on the 18th of November, we're having Unilever supply chain strategies coming to talk to talk about full-time and internship recruiting. Actually, this is Unilever Consulting. HEC MBA has probably the strongest track record with this part of Unilever of all the top business schools. Last year to 2020, they postponed their recruiting for a year. Now they're back. They want to recruit, and we're basically the first school they have chosen to come back to. So I think when you're looking at consulting, it's very important, once again, to think about the top firms. Yeah, HEC is a top business school, and it has top students, and therefore is very attractive for the top tech and consulting firms. But also to think about the range that is available, and the range that we're always looking to expand in terms of different kinds of opportunities you can have to increase your chances of getting the job that you want.
Thanks, Tony. So we have a question about entrepreneurship. And yeah, would you have any examples of alumni using their MBA experience as an entrepreneurial accelerator?
Well, actually, if I can hop in there, it's a really tough one to answer, to be honest with you, because obviously in the Career Center, we're pretty much focused on the companies that want to recruit our students. And to a large degree, people who do want to become entrepreneurships, they choose the academic track, they take the entrepreneurial specialization, they work their alumni contacts quite a bit. Very often they come back to us as established companies a couple of years later to recruit more people. But of the current and recently graduated class, I don't know of examples. And it's not because they're not there, it's just because we don't interact with them so much as we would with students going to work for Bain or other companies like that. So I'm sorry, I'd have to come back to you on that one. Maybe Benny or Aditya, you've got some examples, have you?
Yeah, so I can answer that. So from my cohort, we had 2 students, so not alumni, but current students. And they were very clear that they wanted to be closer to the entrepreneurial field, start something of their own. So one of them he was an entrepreneur in residence at Antler. I believe this was in Berlin. So this person over a period of 3 months was, so Antler, for those who don't know, is a pre-seed, pre-idea stage investor. So really, really early stage VC investor. And they have a program of 3 months where they will have a class of people who are testing the ideas, trying to find co-founders, and trying to build something in those 3 months. So a person did that kind of if you call that internship or that kind of an entrepreneurial experience over the summer. So that was one. Another person from my cohort has now, he was head of the entrepreneurship club. So he has now created a very similar pre-idea or very early stage VC sort of a platform called the EPV Circle. And what EPV Circle tries to do is try to get ideas from different parts of HEC, so not just the MBA, but also the masters, the Grand École students, and have a pitch day in front of investors who are both France and Paris based, and also international investors in Europe. So this person has now created this platform within HEC itself, where entrepreneurs can come in, pitch their ideas, and hopefully get investment, get some mentorship, or just learn better how to build that idea into a proper company. So these are for current students.
Thanks, Aditya. So how does HEC support internationals to overcome linguistic and cultural barriers in gaining internships and placements? Is knowing French necessary? So we kind of already answered this question, but maybe we can kind of quickly go over it again. And so Aditya and Benny, I think you guys are the best ones in answering this because you both didn't speak French. But yeah, again, I should say we offer free French courses all throughout the program. French isn't necessary to complete the program, but as Aditya mentioned, it is helpful to know, especially when you're trying to get by in everyday situations.
By my case, I want to like that it's not mandatory to know the French by the end of the MBA, but it is mandatory to know at least 3 languages. So if you don't know French, but you know German, Italian, Spanish, it's enough.
Does HEC offer any suitable MBA program for a mid-career professional with experience of more than 15 years? So I can answer this one. So as I also mentioned in our key figures, the MBA program is suited for candidates who have between 2 to 10 years of experience, working experience. If you have more than 10 years of working experience, we have the executive MBA program, which is a part-time program that is geared towards individuals who have more than 10 years of experience. So I invite you to search more about that on our website. But the MBA is more for people who have 2 to 10 years of work experience. And the EMBA is really for people, the executive levels, and the people with more work experience. Okay, so we have a question about switching, doing the career switch. And so I think maybe Aditya, you can talk a little bit about this, but how does HEC help you do that career switch? And then maybe Kristin and Tony can kind of give the careers perspective.
Sure. So in terms of career switch, I think primarily because we have such a large international body, so most of the students, I would believe, they come to HEC to work in Europe. And within Europe, and this would be a part of your research for any prospective students. So France has an easier time in terms of granting you a stay visa compared to other countries, so compared to US, for example, or UK. I'm not sure how these rules change year on year, but at the time that I was applying, I noticed that it was a lot easier to stay back in France than stay back in the UK. So that is one, and that just gives you time towards the end of your program. If you're starting later, if you want to spend more time to find a suitable job. Of course, coming to HEC, Global Top 10 MBA program, so the brand value is going to definitely help you get a foot into most of the companies. A lot of people will be, they'll be more likely to reply to your LinkedIn messages if you're doing sort of a very cold approach. And if you're going through the campus itself, through the career center, the number of companies that are visiting is also growing year on year. So not just more and more companies are coming, but the companies who are coming, they're also satisfied and they're recruiting more students. So that's how the school helps. Of course, they will help you with free language classes, free French, if that is what you need. Although I would say that if you really want to work in France, then you should start as early as possible, because the MBA program itself is quite intensive, and you will not have enough time to get to a level of French that is professionally adequate. So that is one. And once you come in, you also have a lot of career treks. So you're visiting other countries, you're visiting offices, and you can try to build a network, and also like in-person network with companies that are based in the Benelux region, in the UK, the nearby countries. So these are some of the ways that coming to HEC will help you to advance your career, to change these industries. But yeah, there are a few other things that you're going to find out here as well that I cannot cover all of them. But these are the basic things that we provide, and then there'll be a lot of additional things, a lot of additional resources that you can tap into.
Yeah, and just to jump in from a career center side, so especially for doing any sector function geography switch, we have within the career center, so myself and Tony, we work in employer engagement, but then we also have an army of career coaches and sector advisors. And so the career coaches, they are many times sector specific. And what they'll do is a variety of different workshops to really prepare students that want to do a sector change, for example. So there's really great workshops that are called the Careers In. So they'll do careers in luxury, careers in consulting, careers in finance. And starting from day one, you'll have, the first session, and then they'll progress and get really more into detail. But I think really taking advantage of the different workshops, I think that would be one of my number one recommendations. And then number two, really taking advantage of the different coaching that you have access to. So there's a lot of one-on-one coaching, there is strategy sessions, there are mock interviews, etc. So I think really utilizing the Career Center, especially those workshops and the one-on-one coaching, I think those are two things I could definitely recommend.
If I could just say something very quickly, one other thing I'd like to mention is that Kristin and myself on the employer side, we have a lot of interaction with companies that are never really shown. They're companies that may not come on campus, they may come later on campus or whatever, but they're very, very interested in engaging with our students, and they're always asking us, can you put us in contact with these kinds of students or these kind of students? And the way that we do this is we connect the companies with the clubs. So we either share the job postings directly with the clubs, or if we think it's particularly interesting, we will put the club directly in connection with that employer. And my sort of roundabout way of saying this is to say that we're really behind you in terms of your future career rather than your past career. Your motivation about where you want to go is far more important for us than whether you have got great experience in something, because that's not why you're doing an MBA. You're doing it to change. So our whole modus operandi, our whole logical approach is we're a career center. We're here to support you. And a very, very banal way in which we do this on a day-to-day basis is connecting employers with our clubs, because we know that the clubs contains the people who are really, really motivated for the future career direction, which is why I would also encourage you is when you come here, engage with your clubs, take a leadership position in your clubs. The clubs are doing wonderful work here. It's amazing what they're doing. And Benny and Aditya talked quite a bit about it. And it's really a great way for you to leverage your future career in a way that you can learn more about this future career as you're going along, and maybe get in front of some other people by showing your motivation.
Thanks, everyone. We have several questions about sustainability, and maybe again, this is geared towards the careers team. But we have questions asking about if someone's interested in sustainability, how does it look like in terms of the career opportunities and the different events that are organized on campus for someone interested in sustainability?
I can jump in there. So we have a really great career fair dedicated to impact careers called Impact Career Day. And the way that this event is organized is that it first has, keynote speaker, then different panel discussions, and then a career fair. And so for the panel discussions, they're focused on impact investing, the energy sector, corporations and sustainability, and also sustainable development and public policy, both national and international. So I think those panel topics give a really good overview of the different types of companies that are also really recruiting within sustainability and within impact as well. So just to give a couple of examples of companies that are in the past really active in this event, Crédit Agricole, Deloitte, Natixis, they were active in the impact investing panel. For energy, we had Engie, Schneider Electric, Societe Generale. For corporations and sustainability, we had AB InBev, Innovafeed, Kia Partners, Renault. And for sustainable development and public policy, we had Croix Rouge, so the Red Cross, Clinton Health Access Initiative, so also known as CHAI, who's very active in recruiting from HEC Paris, EcoLearn, and World Economic Forum. So either they're attending Impact Career Day, but we also organize a variety of different standalone presentations targeting MBAs, and then, of course, posting a lot of different offers on MBA Focus.
If I was just to hop in there as well, Kristin, just to say something about the overall approach of HEC, it's a central part of HEC's strategy moving forward. That sustainability and impact will become central to everything we do, and not just recruiting. I think as a future student of HEC, it's incumbent on you, if you're serious about sustainability, to, as it were, keep everybody honest in this regard. Like everybody else, we don't want necessarily to be promoting companies that are doing greenwashing. We want to promote the companies that are really doing something about sustainability. And these can be any kind of companies, maybe companies that we don't think of as number one in terms of sustainability. But to take an example, Unilever, I happen to know, is very, very has had this as a core tenet of its policy for the last way before it became kind of super fashionable. So we're really encouraging them to come to the Impact Career Day, not necessarily because they will have a ton of jobs, because as I said, they're coming here to recruit for consulting, and that's mainly what they do here for MBA. But just, we want the right companies to be promoting the sustainability agenda as we move forward, so that you can choose the right job for you, because it's very easy now to talk sustainability. It's very easy to to take a job with a company that says this and maybe doesn't do it. And I think it's up to us to also, to walk the walk as well, not just be sort of, oh, that's a company that come to Impact Career Day, great. It's not good enough. They have to also be really meaning what they're saying.
Yeah, exactly. And one thing to add that I didn't add as well is regarding the curriculum. We also do have a specialization in the MBA program specific to sustainable and disruptive innovation. So just to put that out there as well.
Patrick, I think you're muted.
Oh, sorry. Thanks, everyone. So we have a question about, I think it's aimed for the students, and that's how have your interactions been with alumni? And so I think, Aditya, you have some good examples interacting with our alumni. If you could please share them.
Yeah. So so overall, I think my interactions with alumni started even before I came to HEC. So this started in the pre-application stage, trying to know a bit more about campus life and career prospects. Once I knew I was coming to HEC, and I had a few months of prep, I feel that that is the best time for anybody coming in to start activating your network. So just drop a note to people people through either your company or other companies or other alumni that you have interacted with, that you'll be in Europe, and you will be happy to get in touch with them again in a few months when you're applying for internships, applying for jobs, and also be as active as possible in terms of building this network. So in terms of how good your conversion is on LinkedIn and other sources, try to at least get one conversation with somebody new. So somebody who's directly or indirectly going to help you professionally, whether it's in the same industry or a different industry. So that was my approach. I spoke to a lot of alumni and other people in the industry, both in finance and in consulting, and had very wonderful responses. One of the alumni who had just graduated even told me that he's now working in his family business, and if he wants for me to have an internship, I can reach out to him directly, and he can put me in touch with his family business and other people in charge, so they can interview me. So they're very helpful alumni from HEC who will help you a lot. It's all about whether you are firstly active enough. So are you sending the right kind of messages? Are you crafting a personalized message and not just spamming them? Following up with them, so if they don't see it, if they reply a week later, and also how you present yourself in terms of in front of these alumni, because you are building a rapport, and this is sort of like a mini interview. And the better your impression is in front of them, which again is tied to how much work you've done before connecting with them, the better is going to be the outcome. So yeah, that was my experience with alumni, and I feel that I strongly believe that because I interacted with so many different individuals, that by the times that interviews came about, it helped me become more confident within that interview, because I was used to having these mini interviews and was used to presenting myself in a manner that other people would find sort of relatable.
Mm-hmm. Thanks. And just to add to that, we have an alumni office in Paris, where we constantly have different events that are organized by alumni, afterworks, networking events. We also have alumni coming to campus all the time, doing company presentations, case challenges, different kind of events. So alumni are very active throughout the program. We have a question for careers, and that is, apart from Amazon, what are other examples of tech firms that usually visit or recruit from HEC Paris MBA students?
Yeah, happy to take this one. So I know we touched on before earlier the different companies that were coming on campus, especially for digital and tech career fair. So of course we do have Amazon, but we also have companies like Shalhoub, CMA, CGM, Doctolib, so very much into healthcare tech. Intelsia, Miracle. Miracle is actually one that's coming on campus for the first time, I believe, this year for digital and tech, and really focused on marketplace. Ubisoft, so we have a lot more gaming companies that are coming. Vinted, we have some great startups that are coming, especially in fintech. And then we also have some of our companies that are corporate partners, for example, Capgemini and Venn, EY, L'Oreal, Natixis, or SocGen that have digital positions. So definitely a variety of companies coming. And like Tony had mentioned, of course, sometimes you think of the big tech firms, but also a lot of times you can't do business nowadays without having a very strong digital or tech team. So there's a lot of different types of companies that are coming to recruit for digital profiles.
The great thing about doing these things in tandem is that while one person is speaking, the other person can be doing some checking. I was just having a quick look at the class of 2021, the placement. So just to give some examples, we have multiple placements at Microsoft, placements at Google, at Facebook, at Genpact, at Wipro, at Zalando, at Linagora, which is a very big French tech firm. Who else? Some of the companies like DHL Consulting, Deutsche Telekom Consulting, companies that are not exactly in the tech field but very closely related to it. And that's not counting the students who've gone to work for companies like L'Oreal and so on in the digital side of things. But I make I won't say anything else except to say that Amazon is currently a huge recruiter from the program. And it's a great recruiter. It's offering fantastic packages, and there's no sign at the moment of this changing in whatever way. So they really are the biggest recruiter and have been the biggest recruiter for a number of years. And I think most MBA programs would say the same thing. But it's really quite healthy in terms of the range of companies that our students are going to at the moment. And other company I didn't mention, of course, was Uber. Uber took 3 people this year. And that's coming back from 2020 when they froze recruiting. So gives an idea.
Thanks, guys. We have a question about also kind of careers related, and it's, what does the market look like today for an MBA graduate, and are companies continuing to hire during COVID?
I'm happy to take that. As I said already, and this is absolutely true, this is the most vibrant market. I've been in the business for quite some time. It's definitely the most vibrant jobs market I've seen, period. It didn't really drop off during COVID. I mentioned a company like Uber. They were one of the few companies that actually stopped hiring during the COVID period. So even in 2020, we saw a bit of a dip in the spring, summer, but that was it. It started to pick up very quickly. This year, it's been through the roof. I suppose one of the worrying things, if you're coming to do an MBA in a year's time or a bit later, is what's it going to be like in 3 or 4 years' time. Of course, we've no idea. Nobody has any idea. I was looking at an economist from 2017, and it was just interesting the kinds of things that people were saying in 2017, only 4 short years ago, about what they thought was going to happen. So we've no idea, but every indication says that the job market is good. When consulting is going well, that's usually a good sign for the future, because it means that there's a lot of business coming in. There's a lot of advisory business coming in. That's a very good sign. Tech shows no sign of abating. Consumer goods going very well. Healthcare going really well. So certainly for the next year, I don't see any change. 3 to 4 years out, who knows? I can't possibly. Nobody can predict that. And we do have to do something very serious about the environment and reorganizing our economic lives to think about that. But I guess we're all thinking of that because of COP26.
Thank you. So we're almost running out of time, so I guess we have time for 2 more questions. the next one is aimed towards Aditya and Benny. What was one surprise that you found out about HEC that you didn't know before? So whoever wants to answer this one.
Well, that's a weird question. Is there, I mean, any specific related topics? So, well, almost everything was new for us. We never made an MBA before. So, I mean, classes with top-tier business professor and even the courses taken here, everything was new.
So it's pretty much all kind of a surprise, I guess.
Yeah, by participating to hold this club, where it was, I mean, totally different than the university that I did previously. All these kind of support events, they were not part of the university, I mean, support. So, I mean, almost everything was new. So, Aditya, what about you? Are you in line with me or not?
I think I had something specific. So for me, which was something that was a very big surprise, was how nice and helpful everybody were, and how understanding they were. So I came in September. I had my admission, and at that point in time, it was peak of COVID, so people didn't know if they should go for an MBA or not go for an MBA. And Ashish told us that honestly, so we had paid our deposit, and they told us that if you want to defer at any point in time, we will consider that. So even until the last day, even before the weekend before you start, you can tell us that you want to defer and come in later, and we'll be happy to do that. So that was very nice of them. Some of the students, because of COVID, some of the loan processes were getting a bit delayed. And HEC was very flexible in terms of allowing them to pay slightly later. I think this was one off, but there were some other things. And just when we came on campus, I just think, despite everything being closed, the school put in an active effort to make sure that the quality of teaching was not compromised. So the classes which were supposed to be face-to-face, they had put in the investment and the work, the grunt work over the holidays to make sure everything was available online. Some of the professors had stayed back to record these classes that we could learn from in the first semester, especially since they couldn't teach us. Things on Zoom were very smooth. They had set up new infrastructure to organize these simulations, these classes. So overall, I feel that the school has helped a lot, and in ways that I haven't seen any other schools do. I've read up stories how other B schools, that they gave their students 1 week to decide if they want to do the program or not. And after that, even if you pay the fees and if you cannot come on campus because of visa issues, then it's your fault and you're going to miss out. So overall, I feel that the way that school handled the COVID situation was very commendable. And overall, just the people and the way that they helped us was a very, very pleasantly, very good surprise for me.
Thanks, Aditya and Benny. And maybe a good question to wrap things up, and that is, again, aimed towards our students. And it is, what are some tips that you have for prospective students that might be interested in applying for the MBA program? So whoever
I can go early.
This one.
I would go early. So apply early. You're going to have the best chances of getting in and getting a scholarship. As soon as you apply, make sure that you start working towards your professional goals. So everything that you've written down in your letter and all the introspection that you've done, that you have poured into your essays and all the thoughts they've done in terms of what you really want to do, start working towards that. So start activating your network, start connecting with people, reaching out, try having calls. And once you come on campus, once you start your program, don't forget the reason why you wanted to do this. So everything, keep going back to what is your core reason that you're doing this MBA. Of course, be part of a lot of clubs and try to expand or broaden your horizon and experiences, but also keep working towards that one thing that you really want to do. So that will be my advice.
Yeah, in my case, what I strongly recommend, so don't wait that your MBA will start to leverage on the school support, but you can start to do it in advance. This is what I've done, and I remember that the school was providing support, like preparing the CV, the cover letter, because once you start the program, you don't have you will face issue. I mean, time constraint to dedicate also time to your CV and cover letter. So if you start to work in advance on this sensitive topic, will be very useful, and the school will be happy to provide the support on it.
Great. So I just want to thank all our panelists who joined us today. Thank you so much for sharing your insights. I know it was a lot of information for the audience, but again, please feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions. We'll be happy to answer them moving forward. And a great way to doing that is through our Connect with Us form online. So I want to wish everyone as well good luck, the best of luck in your MBA journey. It's not easy. Make sure you take the time to kind of research all the different options that you have and to kind of figure out what's important for you in terms of your personal and professional goals. So thanks again, everyone, for joining this webinar, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.